I'm also glad that the Hindu Business Line has organized this discussion to think about what the budget should be doing in the context of the many developments that are happening in the Indian economy. The budget to be presented on February 1 has to reckon with three disturbing trends in the Indian economy. The first is the decline in the growth rate. The second is a fall in investment rate. And the third is the stress under which the Indian financial system is operating. It is not as if that there are not many other challenges. There are many other problems. But I think the budget will have to address these three immediate problems before it can lay the foundation for a faster economic growth. I shall talk in the beginning a few words about each one of these elements and then go on to look at what the year is turning out to be, the current year is turning out to be, and what could be the turn of events next year and what the budget can do. In between, of course, I shall make comments on the past trends and the past challenges that we have met in the past. On the declining growth rate, enough has been said in the papers and everywhere. In 2016-17, as late as 2016-17, we had a rate of growth which was 8.2%. And now it has fallen to 5% according to the estimates of the CSO. And we have a more recent estimate by the International Monetary Fund, which puts it even lower than that 4.8%. In fact, if you look at the quarterly growth rate, it becomes even more severe. In fact, in the fourth quarter of 2017-18, it was 8.1%. And the second quarter of the current fiscal year, it is 4.5%. So there is really a serious problem on our hand of a falling growth rate, which is very severe. Now, one kind of discussion that you come across very frequently is whether this slowdown in economic growth that we are witnessing is cyclical, some people call it, or structural. Now, what difference does this make at all to the discussion and to the finding a solution? Now, a cyclical phenomenon has two features. One is that what the economy is seeing or witnessing is a downturn from a previous peak. That is what the business cycle is all about. And therefore, there is always a feeling that if it is purely cyclical, it will turn around and the upward part of the cycle will soon come. Nobody knows how long the trough will be. People talk about whether it is a U or a V or so on and so forth. But that is also important. But certainly, if it is cyclical, people believe that it is something that can come up a little later. That's also another aspect of cyclical phenomenon. And that is, it is always characterized by weakening of demand. Because what happens is, in all business cycles in developed countries, the economy reaches a peak. And when it reaches a peak, it has built up large capacity. And then when its downturn comes, There is excess capacity in the system, and there is a decline in demand. On the other hand, structural deficiencies are more fundamental, in a sense that there are rigidities in the economic system, and if those rigidities are not removed, perhaps the economy will not be able to move faster at all. The typical example was 1991. The faster rate of economic growth that we saw since 1991 is precisely because that the rigidities that have entered into the economic system were removed through fundamental changes in the approach to economic policy. So the question is the slowdown that we are witnessing cyclical or structural? I would like to answer that it is elements of both. It is certainly cyclical because many indicators, what they call high frequency data, like automobile sales and housing starts and so on, just show a decline in effective demand. And at the same time, as I will come to the next one, that there are structural problems as well. And therefore structural reforms are also needed. The second one which I mentioned was the decline in investment rate. Let us understand this. This is simple economics. Ultimately, the economic growth of a country is contributed by two factors: the amount of investment that the economy makes and the productivity of that investment. Therefore, it is the capital and the productivity of capital that are key for economic growth. What has happened to the savings and investment rate? They have all fallen. For example, the gross fixed capital formation rate stood in 2011-12 at 34.3%, and it has fallen in 2019-20 to 27.8%.